Welcome to the Digital Maddie Show. This is a platform where I share my knowledge on how to record an amazing video, create your personal brand, and build your online business with ease and comfort with social media marketing. I also invite many influencers and digital marketers on the show and ask amazing questions to extract their secrets of business, which can help you in your business and life. Let's get started with your host. Hi, my name is Mithil, and I'm a YouTube and video podcast expert, and I help aspiring video influencers to record your video and podcast and make sales through video marketing. We have an amazing guest on our show tonight. He is into change management. He is already into the studio. Let's welcome him. So let's welcome on our show Ashok sir. Let me introduce him. He is a strategist, hands-on leader and coach consultant for leading the organization's change efforts critical to driving growth, customer satisfaction and operational excellence. So let's welcome Ashok Kumar sir on our show.
Namaste Mithil ji.
Namaste sir. So Ashok sir, let me ask you one of my favorite question. Which is your favorite line or a quote that motivates you on a daily basis?
Thank you very much at the outset for inviting me to this show. I have enjoyed many of your YouTube interviews with celebrity guests. In fact, I am honored and humbled to spend time with you. You asked me the quote. Of course, there are many quotes. The one which I have on my workstation, I had this throughout my corporate career. It says that be the change that you wish to see in the world. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. This was said by none other than Bapuji, Mahatma Gandhi ji.
Absolutely, sir.
It just means that look at your inner self before you want to change the world or before you want some changes to happen in the world. In fact, I'm reminded of a corollary of this also. Everyone thinks that the world should change, but no one thinks that they should change. So this has been my inspiring quote throughout my career because my job roles had to do with influencing others for change initiatives.
Awesome, sir. Awesome. So, Ashok sir, can you share your backstory with us?
Yeah, thank you. I was born as the only son, typically brought up the South Indian way to be good, obedient, and like any other good boy of our generation, did dutifully engineering. Somehow when I was doing my engineering, it was my father who inspired me to get into management. I started reading a lot of management books. So eventually I did my master's in production management, which today you call it as operations management. Thereafter, I had a career of about 30 years in 3 phases. The first phase was more than 2 decades in some great companies like TVS Group, Sundaram Fasteners, TVS Suzuki, Volvo, Timken, and ABB. No, this was a good hands-on experience plus a lot of learning from the Japanese gurus who used to help our organizations in implementing various initiatives. And those were the days I learned so many things on these jobs. After an eventful 2 decades, I decided to turn a consultant. I worked right from the scratch again with a consultant guru and in areas like Lean, TPM, Six Sigma, basically operational excellence programs. That was for another 8 years. And during this period, I was also a contract trainer, and I used to do part-time teaching in business schools. Then eventually, the next phase of my career was to use all these learnings. I decided to become a student again and enrolled for my research. I joined as an associate professor in one of the business schools, along with my PhD. And incidentally, now I am also into career guidance coaching in addition to academic teaching. And of course, I keep doing consulting interventions here and there along with corporate training. I'm basically a change consultant, trainer, and a coach.
Awesome, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your backstory, sir. So, sir, can you say and share why change is important in our life?
Yes, change is very important in our lives. But before I answer your question, let me take this opportunity to decode this word called change for our listeners. We often use the word change in all walks of life, rather every day, or rather loosely, if we may call. Change, in other words, is nothing but what we call as parivartan in Hindi. Now, we all know that it's easy to understand this, starting with an example of nature itself. We all know that there is a continuous change in the nature in terms of the seasons change. We have autumn, spring, summer, winter. And take, for instance, even the child birth, when the child gets conceived and born, there's a lot of changes which accompanies the growth of the child in the mother's womb and also in the mother's health. And eventually, even after the child is born, we all of us grow into adults and go through changes in life. So this is what, in a very crude sense, what parivartan means. It's like the butterfly, or the butterfly comes out of an egg, and then the larva, and then it comes out of a pupa into this world, similar to the childbirth. Now, that is how the nature keeps changing. And you know that the same thing happens to the physical world and the organizations as well. And we all say that the physical world is changing, the world is changing socially, economically, physically. Physically also, nature, in terms of the depletion of ozone or the ice glaciers, all are changing. So this change is nothing but different from one state to another. If there's a difference from the previous state, that is called change. Or we can also say that it is making or being different. Sometimes this change is intentionally induced to make. And sometimes we say that we should change. Then you have to become different. So that is what we mean broadly by the term change. Now, you asked me why this is important in our lives. It's part of our life, in fact. As I said, we all keep changing as human beings along with nature, both inside as well as the outside. And if you take the world, or if you take the organization, the context keeps changing. Today they say that business works in a VUCA world, which means the world is volatile, uncertain, ambiguous. So essentially, nothing remains constant in this world, including the nature, the human beings, as well as the businesses and the world. Now, I'm sure you are now accepting that change is a constant, which we cannot do away with. Now, along with constant, there is one another parameter which also is constant, which means along with change comes with problems. You know, in fact, this beautiful analogy was explained by one Dr. Adizes in his methodology called Adizes methodology, where he says that every change comes with problems, and we try to learn to solve these problems. And when we solve these problems, one set of problems disappear and comes another set of bigger problems. So all he says is, uh, as the change is more rapid or more larger, comes with it equally the complexity and the problems. Now, along with problems, to solve those problems, we need solutions. So we as human beings or organizations, we tend to embark on solving problems one after the other. And the more the problems we solve, the solutions in turn lead to some other problem or a bigger problem. So in other words, it's a kind of vicious circle where change leads to problems, problems leads to solutions, and a revised solutions or a revised way of working in turn leads to changes again. So the point here is, we cannot be happy saying that we have solved all the problems and the problems in this world are over. You know, that day can happen only when we die, when we have no more problems to solve. So as long as we are alive, both change and problems are here to stay. Looking at it philosophically, we are all born to solve problems, and we grow to solve bigger and bigger problems. I think in that sense, I think change is very important in our lives.
Thank you, Ashok sir, for throwing some light on that. Absolutely, I resonate with what you're trying to say, that change is definitely important in our life. So, sir, as you are so experienced in this field, so I'm sure you will also agree with me that change is a science and it's an art to live in our life. So, can you share something more on that?
Yeah, over the years, I have realized that, when I was working all these days, when I was working on the corporate world and so many other multivarious careers, I have worked in automobile industry, engineering industry, I worked in research organizations, I had been a scientist, and eventually I got into consulting and then a professor. In fact, people used to make fun of me and call me professor. I never knew that one day I would become a professor at the age of 56. Now, what it has taught me is looking back, like playing a movie backwards. When I look back at my life, I have changed jobs, I've changed my professions, and I have done several things in all these organizations I worked for. The difference in each of these jobs, I changed as many as 10 jobs. Now, the reason is I was more or less working as a project manager. And every time I was given a project which was nothing but a change project, I didn't realize it till I became 50 that I am a change expert. To give some examples, the projects I worked on was starting from ISO 9001 to business excellence. And then I was involved in TPM implementation. And then I got into Lean, then Six Sigma. So these were essentially what you call as change projects in organizations, which was to do with operational excellence. Now, having got this kind of wisdom in my working career, I now realize that it is both a science and an art. I knew the art of it by virtue of my experience, but I didn't know the science of it. Now, becoming a professor and a consultant has taught me the science of it. Now, when I say science, as I started with the example of nature and childbirth, everything is a science. A mother has to understand how to look after the child. Unless she understands the signs of the child growing, the biological changes happening, she will not be able to be a good mother. She has to understand the science of change. Similarly, when you want to look after plants in your garden, you have to look after those plants and understand what change is happening within those plants. So this change is a widely researched subject in management today, and it's more of an interdisciplinary science. And most of the management sciences have integrated with each other to understand this process of change. So there is a behavioral aspect involved. There is a humanistic psychology involved. There is a personality involved, the personality of the people. And there is a leadership in terms of the organization, or even take at the national or the governance political level. So all these are involved as a science. And one has to understand the nuances of this process of change, which I call it as science, if one were to implement change and be successful in it. So coming to the art aspect, if change has to be a success, most often in the world we see that change happens, and then what happens is this is a very temporary, momentary change. And in organizations, the same thing happens. People say that we have improved. The morale of the people has improved, the productivity has improved. And what happens is, after some projects are implemented and something change happens in the organization, everything goes back to the old situation, drift back to the original level. So to a great extent, it's an art which we have to master to see that the success which comes with the solution I said, when changes happens, this has to stick, and you need certain skills as an art to manage change. So that is why I consider it as both a science and an art. So we may not be wrong in saying that change is both a science as an art. It needs the skills of an artist, and it needs the understanding of the principles of science, principles of change.
This is amazing, sir. The examples that you gave, which are related to change, are awesome. From mother understanding the changes of the child to a person who is fond of gardening, so understanding that. So the metaphors were really awesome, sir. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So, sir, you said that there are certain skills required. So, which skills are required to make the change happen?
Now, coming to the skills, I would say that you don't have to learn these skills in a formal way as far as common sense and everyday life is concerned. I have seen these skills in every housewife who manages change within the family, or every mother who manages the change in the child growth, or the way they bring up children, and probably the way they manage the family with the change in the economic status of the family, whatever it is. But having said that, when you look at the organizational context, or in a bigger perspective at the national context, in the national context or in the public space, you can say it is governance. And in the organizational or in the business sense, you can call it as a leadership. So skills are necessary to manage change of a larger complexity, of a larger scale, both at the public space as well as within the business. Now, when I say skills, the skill starts with what you call as a vision or a leadership. when I say leadership, there must be a compulsive need for change. People, unless they see that there is a burning need, they say that burning mountain, uh, create a platform for the burning mountain. There's an interesting book called The Iceberg is Melting. It talks about where the iceberg is melting, and the dolphins are all uh, trying to save that iceberg. And similarly, there's another small book called Who Moved My Cheese. So these are all a lot of metaphors, and lots of these books convey this skills for change. Now, coming back to what a leader has to do is create this vision and the need for change among the people, to see the need for accepting and participation in the movement for change, I would say. And then when the vision is created, what happens is there are a set of people whom we call as the implementers, or the change agents, or what you call as the champions. These are all loosely used words. And here you have skills like the change agent, the change facilitator, the coach, the mentor, and the black belt or the green belt in Six Sigma. These are all the skills which are associated with bringing about those organizational changes and building the organizational capability in solving problems. As I told you, at a very fundamental level, change brings problems with it. And what skills you are teaching the people is nothing but skills to solve these problems, and training those peoples to build the capability to solve these problems. That is what is the skill all about. And if you look at specific skills like, it's the coaching and mentoring skill, where people have to be negotiated, cajoled, why change can do them good, because change brings a lot of fears. People are worried that if technology comes in, or if automation comes in, they might lose their jobs. So people are always under constant fear when the status quo is disturbed. People are happy to work in their comfort zones, and the moment you disturb the apple cart, in terms of the organizational changes, the mergers or the acquisitions. So what happens is people have to be negotiated for change. People have to be mentored for change. People have to be shown what is good coming for them, and so on and so forth. And even in the family, again, coming back to the personal lives, let's say we all get married, when you get married, again, it brings the change in your personality. Suddenly you are expected to live with another girl or another spouse who has grown in a different family, and there is going to be a what you call blend of two families, blend of two cultures, and then you start changing your personality and start adjusting to live with your spouse. So these skills are both at the personal level, at the team level, and at the organizational level, depending on the context. And some of these are intrinsic, which comes as our inherent capability, and some of the other skills are taught to be better leaders and facilitators in organizational context. And that is how the skills, I would say. In other words, there is a very interesting concept which Toyota company in Japan has come out, and there is a person who has done extensive research and written books on this. He's called Mike Rother. It's called the Kata approach. So what he says here is change is nothing but you need to help people with the skills to understand what is the current situation or the current state, and give them a goal or a vision or a path towards what you want to achieve in a future state. So this path of moving from current state to future state, understanding what you are presently and understanding what is the gap to reach there is what is called as the change skill. And now this is not going to be easy, when you want to move from one state to another state. As I told, the terrain is not going to be smooth. I mean, take for instance our own country. If you want the country to progress, then you got to take harsh decisions. You got to take harsh decisions, be it demonetization or be it economic decisions, and these are often talked about. But these are nothing but when you take these decisions for changes to happen, then comes what is called as obstacles. Now, obstacle is what I mean by the terrain is not smooth. And then you learn to grapple with these obstacles or problems and try to solve them. And that is what is the skill which is needed, both at the micro level as at the macro level, to handle change and the associated problems with how to understand obstacles. Now, there is one more thing here, sometimes what happens is in this kata approach, what they say here is your knowledge domain is also limited. So when you start crossing the path towards change, the unknown also gets known through your opening up of the thinking process, the cognitive processes. And this is where you help people to broaden up their horizons, to think out of the box, to come out with alternative solutions, and then train them, saying that your knowledge is limited. In fact, I got into teaching at the age of 56. After working in industry and consulting for 30 plus years, I mean, I felt very humble when I got into teaching. What we know is only a small drop in the ocean, a small speck. The ocean of knowledge is so big that you are humbled. And this is what happens when you are discovering knowledge on the path towards change. So there is a whole lot of skills to learn, including humility, including the domain knowledge, and how to make change happen. And more important is how to make change stick. This is what I am in fact doing research on. What are the factors which help organizations to sustain change? Once they introduce something new, then what are the factors which really helps it to sustain? So that's my little knowledge about skills and science and art of change.
Awesome, sir. Awesome. And thank you so much, sir, for sharing all that amazing value with us. So, Ashok, sir, all the people who are listening to this particular episode, if they want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Of course, I've just got into the digital space. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I have just started doing podcast, LinkedIn podcast, my email ID, and shortly a website. They can get in touch with me for any of the academic requirements or the consulting or coaching requirements.
Awesome. So all the people, the links are available in the description. Do check out those links and do connect with him on LinkedIn. He is an amazing person. You can learn a lot from him. So Ashok sir, before we end this particular episode, would you like to say something to our viewers?
Yeah, I think I will take this opportunity because especially in this COVID situation, I'm reminded of a Sanskrit shloka from Bhagavad Gita. It goes like this: Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samstha pranayartham sambhavami yuge yuge. Basically it says that God is a protector of all good, the destruction of evil, and the establishment of dharma, that is righteousness. And he keeps born, or he takes birth from age to age. Now, why this is important in today's context is it's a reminder of the fact that all changes what is happening is all governed by the supreme power. And we are only witnesses in the process of change. And the governance of change is the supreme power. And now, as long as we realize that we are not the doers, but we are only the seers of this change or the process of change, and we will have the necessary skills to cope up with this change, what is going through in this COVID season. There is a lot of harm, there's a lot of suffering, but nevertheless, what change is happening, it is for the overall good. And I'm sure mankind will have the necessary coping skills to come out in a new world and make it a better place to live in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ashok sir, for accepting the invitation, for being a guest on the show. It was our honor to have you on the show, and thank you so much for sharing so much awesome values with us related to change and how to take the things further.
Thank you, Mithalji, for the wonderful opportunity to be on your show and expressing what little I know with my listeners. Thank you so much for the opportunity given.
Great, sir. Great, sir. So you have just listened to the Digital Maddie Show with your host, Digital Mithil. Thank you so much for listening to our show and giving so much love. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, or if you're watching this as a video, and if you're listening as a podcast, do subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. This is Digital Mithil signing off at the moment. Until next time, keep rocking. Catch you in the next episode.